Okay, so hello and welcome everyone. How are you all? Am I audible to everyone? Please let me know if I'm audible to every one of you. Okay, perfect. I'm just waiting for 2 minutes so that the other participants can join and then we'll start. Just 2 more minutes. Okay, so welcome once again to the third second day of SBL revision workshop. I hope so. You must have gone through the first day. It's a request that all those who have still not registered kindly register because after one class we will not be allowing you. So it's basically better to register before that. Um, I'm showing you the day two agenda and how will we be going through the day two and what are the areas that we will be covering in day two. Just a second. Okay, am I audible to everyone? Please let me know once. Am I audible to every one of you? Yes, please. And my audio is perfectly fine. No issues in that. Okay. 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 Great. So basically, perfect. Basically, we are talking about the second day of revision workshop. In the first day, those who were not able to attend the first day, I have uploaded the first day on my YouTube channel. You can basically go through the first day from that YouTube channel as well. Right. So all those who wanted to go through the first day, I have covered some of the areas of strategy. And in today's class, we'll be covering the professional ethics and other related areas. Now the fact is that these workshops will only be effective once you keep on start practicing with me, because if you are not practicing, then this means that this workshop will not be of greater use to you all. So the only way of getting the maximum benefit out of this workshop will be that you need to practice a lot. um, there are some of the participants who are still waiting for joining. Okay, just a minute. Let us facilitate those participants first. Till then, if there is any question from your first class, or if there is any issue that you would want to ask right now from the first class, no, I will not be uploading all 5 days on YouTube channel. No, not at all. Okay, so today's class agenda I have already shared it with you. Just a minute. I have already shared the agenda for today's class, and I am sharing it with you all right now once again, so that you can get to know what are we going to go through for today's session. We'll first be notifying what are the topics that I'm going to deal with in today's class, and how will we be going through those topics, and what are the areas that we need to cover when we say that I'm going through this particular class. Now, you must have gone through the strategic part, obviously. You must have thoroughly seen the strategic area. We have completed the strategic model. We have completed all other different models as well. Uh, one more thing, there are some students who wanted me to provide the my educated guess in this regard. Yes, I will be providing my educated guess at the end of the day. I guess now I am visible to you all as well. I will be providing my educated guess as well as what are the topics that I feel will be the most important one. But for that, you'll have to wait till the end of this workshop, so that once we complete this workshop, we will be in a better position to highlight the areas that are the most important one. And once we have highlighted those areas, we shall not then be going through those areas in the most stated and the most perfect manner. So just wait till the end of all these 5 days. After the completion of all these 5 days, I will be providing you with the most important topics for this attempt. Number one, I will be providing you some of the key notes, some of the key mistakes. We'll be going through the examiner comments as well, and many other factors will also be discussed in class. So just keep yourself motivated till the end of the day, and you will be in a better position to revise all the content that you need to go for revision before your papers. Remember, this workshop is for the revision purpose in the shortest possible period of time. So what I'm trying to do, I'm trying to make sure that I solve each and everything in the shortest possible time, in the shortest possible given time. If I'm able to solve each and everything in the shortest possible given time, I'll be in a better position not only to revise all the areas, but also to facilitate myself in regard with how things will be catered in the real time exam. Now, the topics of the day will be, I will obviously be going through some of the exam tips and tricks. So before going through this, let me just show you one of the most important exam tip that I feel should be shared with you all, so that you guys can have a better insight about this examination tip as well. The most important and the most appropriate tip of today's time is that you need to, whenever I'm writing an answer, how to write an answer. The most important tip of today's class is how to write an answer. Now, let me tell you one thing. One of the most confusing factors that majority of students feel that they are going wrong with is the distribution of the marks. Now, in today's tip for exam, in today's tip for exam, I would like to highlight that obviously you guys know it very well that there are two types of marks. That is, we have got the technical. We have got the technical as well as the professional marks. Now, when I say we have got technical marks, you know it very well that these technical are the 80% marks. And when I say that we have got the professional, you know it very well that these professional are the 20% marks. Now, you need to be very crystal clear in bifurcating these two different areas. See, if I talk about the technical part, we have got strategy. If I talk about the technical part, we have got risk, controls, audit, governance, stakeholders, financial planning, and innovation. Risk, internal controls, governance, audit, financial planning, and innovation. And one of the most important topics which has been recently included in your syllabus, that is the topic for the new inclusions. Now, the most alarming thing or the most bestest part about this syllabus is that they have very bifurcated between these two areas. Firstly, the technical part, and secondly, the professional part. Now, the professional marks are obviously you get on 5 different skills. But what is the major confusion about these skills and the technical part? Major confusion is that firstly we have the communication skills with us. Then we have the business acumen. Then we have skepticism. We have evaluation. And last but not the least, we have the analysis. Now, the fact is, the most important factor is that when I say that I need to achieve these 80% marks, I cannot achieve them without having a knowledge of these 20% marks. And both these 80 and 20% marks will only be achieved if I go on with proper formats. I will share a handout on formats as well that I've prepared. Now, in these formats, we might be told to make presentation slides. We might be told that we are going to make presentation slides. We may also be required to make the project initiation document. We may also be told to prepare a memo or a report. We may be asked to prepare press release. We may be told to make a letter, and so on and so forth. There can be many other factors that we may be told. So this means that in order to achieve all these marks, we have a connection between all. We have a connection between all. Now the tip of the day is, if there is a question which is of, let's suppose, 10 marks, and there are 2 professional marks. Now, there are some students who were basically confused after the previous class, and I would want to clear out this confusion right now, there and then, so that there is no confusion further on in this regard. Now, the confusion was, sir, are we going to, because in my previous class I said that for every 1 mark, sorry, for every 2 mark, you will be writing 1 valid point. For every 2 mark, you will be writing 1 valid point. Now the question is, 2 marks is equal to 1 valid point. Now the question is, if I talk about this question, are we going to write 5 valid points or 6 valid points? What is your viewpoint? Yes. What is your viewpoint? What do you guys feel? Yes, I will share these slides, Roman. You have to write 5 valid points or 6 valid points. Guys, I will be writing 6 valid point. I will be writing 6 valid point. Yes, we will be writing all 6 valid points. 1 point means 1 mark, 2 marks is equal to 1 point. So you will be writing 6 valid point. Now, this is the mistake that students are doing. While me checking their answers, while me correcting their answers, majority of time what I'm seeing right now is, and in majority of cases what I'm seeing continuously is that students are writing 5 valid points and they are considering the 6th one to be professional marks, and it will only be on the basis of letters or professional skills. Yes, the reason of writing these professional marks is the same, but you will include 1 extra valid point in it, in your answers. Number 1. Number 2, the second tip of the day is that the majority of students feel that 1 point is equal to 1 sentence. This means that you will be getting 2 marks, which is wrong. Which is wrong. It is not equal to 1 sentence. 1 point is equal to 1 explanation. 1 valid explanation. Now, this explanation, basically I tried writing explanation. This explanation may be of 3 to 5 lines. It will depend upon the number of lines that you require in order to explain your point appropriately. So if you're explaining your point, you need to write at least 3 to 5 lines. Right? Do you get this? Is everyone getting what I'm trying to explain right now? Please let me know. Is everything crystal clear? Very good. Okay, we will have question answer sessions at the end of the day as well. Okay, the second tip of the day is, I guess this tip is very much clear to you all. Second tip of the day is, you are reading, while reading your paper, you're highlighting of points is very important. Now, majority of students keep on asking me whenever I'm seeing their papers on CB format or something like that. What do they do is, whenever I see their papers in the paper format as well, majority of students are doing one of the biggest blunders. They're highlighting each and everything. See, what you need to highlight, you need to be very much precise and you need to be very much clear in your mind, because highlighting means only the highlighting of important points. Now, what you should highlight when you are reading a question paper, you should highlight the core business models, any financial data, any point of importance, something negative, you should highlight very accurately, because these highlighted points will help you to remember the question and will help you in facilitating the question. Something negative about the company, about the given scenario, something which is of a concern, comparisons. There may be industrial comparison. There may be the there may be some economic comparison. And you can highlight all other stuff, other information which you feel is important. So you can highlight all these areas, but highlighting the entire set of question will basically reduce the basic reason of highlighting. So you need to keep these things in your mind very crystal clear that what you are highlighting is totally dependent upon the areas that you will be needing in regard with your future strategies. Would it be more beneficial to read the requirement and then read the obviously we are reading the requirement first. When you are reading the paper in the CBE format, you are basically reading the requirement first and then you are going through the scenario. So yes, you can highlight it appropriately, identifying that okay, this is the requirement and this is the scenario and I need to get this information in order to fulfill this requirement. Yes, 100% sure you can go with this strategy of highlighting. Now, one of the mistakes, another form of mistakes, I would want to go through a tip number 3 as well, which obviously I have quite number of times shared this with my regular students, but I would want to add on to the new students who have joined the workshop only, so that to help you all. Now, the third point and the most important point, the third tip of the day. See, there is a model with the name of SFA. Now, my regular students will be very much clear what I am about to talk about in this regard. Now, this SFA model is basically stating the suitability, feasibility, and acceptability. See, suitability is and obviously it's a strategic model. It's a strategic model that we are about to talk about right now. Now, the biggest mistake that majority of students are doing, and I would want you all not to do for your paper, is that suitability means if this area is suitable. Suitability means that if this particular strategy that you are adopting, is it suitable in stakeholders' point of view? In stakeholders' point of view, my major concern is about feasibility and acceptability. See, if you are comparing financial data, now you need to keep this very much crystal clear. I have repeated numerous amount of times for my regular students, and I hope so that they will not be going for this type of mistake. But when it comes to my new students, I would want you to give your 100% attention, and I would want my regular student to participate in this as well. If you are analyzing financial information of number one. If you are analyzing the financial information of your company to adopt the, in fact, let me write this in some other way. if you are analyzing the financial information of, now there can be two different financial information that you may be told to analyze. Now there may be two different financial information that you may be told to analyze. The first form of financial information may be of your own company. Now, if you are analyzing the financial information of your own company, if you are analyzing the financial information of your own company to evaluate the internal competence, if you internal competence, if you are going to adopt a strategy or not, or if you are about to analyze the financial information of targeted company. Now, what do you mean by targeted company? Obviously, you know it very well. Targeted company means of your own company and your targeted company. Targeted company means that the company in which you are about to invest. Now, if you are analyzing, first of all, you will be analyzing on the basis of ratio analysis, on the basis of financial statement, and on the basis of available information. You are analyzing the company's financial data on the basis of financial statement, ratio analysis. You may be calculating the return on equity ratio. You may be calculating the return on capital ratio. You may be calculating the return on investment ratio or any other related ratios. So if you are calculating the ratios, if you are going through the financial statement, if you are going through the available information, keep one single thing in your mind, and that is, if it is your own company, then you will be classifying the financial evaluation of your own company. Let's suppose you have calculated the ratio on the basis of historic trend, you have calculated the ratios on the basis of existing products, you have calculated the ratios on the basis of existing business models. Then you will be, it's very important, remember this thing is very important. If you are calculating of your own company, then the financial evaluation of your company should be kept under which heading? Suitability, feasibility, or acceptability? Let's not keep suitability. You will be keeping under one of these two headings. Will it go in feasibility option or will it go in the acceptability option? Yes, Mr. Shahrukh is saying that it will be going into feasibility option. Anan is saying that it should go into feasibility option. Obviously, you guys know it very well. Why? Because you are evaluating your internal competence as to we should adopt this strategy. See, if the question says, okay, now you have already been performing very well in the hotel industry, your ratios are, or your financial data is that, let's suppose you are earning a good return on capital, you are earning a good return on investment, you are earning a good return on capital employed, you are earning this much amount of capital employed, this much amount of earning per share, so on and so forth. You are being told to introduce a new product within your company. Introduce a new product within your company. This means that if I am internally capable of producing a new product into my company or not, if I'm capable of launching a new product into my company or not, this is one of the biggest questions. And I will be answering this question after having a financial analysis. And if I make an accurate financial analysis, I will be classifying this under the heading of feasibility, because this thing relates to my internal strength and my internal weaknesses. Do you all get this? The new students who are there, who are not my regular students, do you all get this? Do you get this idea, what I'm trying to explain in this? Yes, please, I need your answers. You can use the chat option and let me know if you are getting what I'm trying to explain. I hope so. Yes. Very good, Bushra. What about others? I'm repeating it once again, but Nasnan, you seems to be my regular student, right? You should have got this. Again, I'm repeating it once again. What I'm saying is that if I'm evaluating the financial information, if I'm evaluating the financial information on the basis of ratios, on the basis of financial statement, on the basis of available information, this means that if I am doing this ratio analysis of my own company, for example, the historic trend, for example, the company is earning 20% return on equity, the company is earning a 12% return on investment, the company is getting a 3:2 ratio in regard with, let's suppose, capital employed, asset test ratios, inventory turnover ratios, labor turnover ratios, and we are being told that you need to introduce a new product within your company. Now, based on the historic data, based on the historic financial evaluation, I will have to decide if I am internally competent to introduce the new policies, to introduce the new areas, to introduce the new eras in my existing corporate or not. And if I'm evaluating the financial information of my own company, this means that I will be recording this financial, or I will be analyzing or evaluating this financial information under the heading of feasibility. Is it feasible for our company or not? And when I say is it feasible for our company or not, this means that I will be going through the strengths and the weaknesses of my own company. And when it comes to strength and weaknesses, this means that I'm talking about the feasibility of my own company. And when I say about the feasibility, this means that I'm talking about the internal competence. And when I say internal competence, this means that I'm talking about the financial information or financial evaluation of my. This is one of the most important tips that I'm providing to you right now. But if I say, no, sir, the scenario seems to be very different, you are about to go for a takeover strategy, you are about to go for a merger strategy, you are about to go for an acquisition strategy, you are about to go for a strategic, you are about to go for a strategic alliance. This means that you are going for another company. You are merging, you are getting together with another company. Now, if I'm getting together with another company, maybe another company, or within another country. Now, in this scenario, the information of another company, the financial information of the other company shall be evaluated under the model of suitability, feasibility, and acceptability under the heading of acceptability. Why acceptability? Because whenever I am going for another company, I'm merging with another company, I'm taking over another company, I'm going for the acquisition of another company, this means that I am evaluating the financial statement, I'm evaluating the financial information of other company. And when I say that I'm evaluating the financial information of other company, this means that I need to, evaluate the financial statement of other company. I will have to ask myself, will this option be acceptable for the stakeholders? In other words, will this option be an opportunity, or will it be a threat to my company if I accept this in accordance with the financial data? For example, if the question says that you are about to merge with TT4U, you are about to merge with XYZ company in Predane, and these are the financial informations of Predanian companies of Redanian economy, and you need to analyze in this regard. So this means that I need to ask myself that according to the ratios calculated of the other company, according to the financial statement evaluated of the other company, will it be acceptable to adopt this strategy or not? For my own company, introducing a new product, I will ask, will it be feasible? Do I have those internal competence? Do I have those strengths? Do I have those weaknesses? If yes, I'll go for this. If no, I'll reject this. But for the other company, I will say, okay, will it be feasible? Sorry, will it be acceptable for the stakeholders, wider stakeholders viewpoint? Will the shareholders be accepting this in regard with the opportunities and threats? So to conclude my topic, to conclude my talk, I will say that the strength and weakness relate to the internal competence. And when I say that it relates to the internal competence, if I talk about the financial statement evaluation of my own company, just a second, I'm answering your question. Of my own company, I will go with feasibility heading. While making feasibility, then we should also see the factors which are covered in the Porter 5 force. Yes, obviously, we will be seeing factors of Porter 5 force model. And if I talk about the opportunities and threats, this means that I'm going for an external acquisition. And when I'm going for external acquisition and I am evaluating the financial statement of an external company or the takeover company or the company which about whom I'm about to take over, about whom I'm about to take with regard with my own self. In this regard, when I'm evaluating the financial statement of the other company whom I'm about to take over, I will evaluate this under the heading of acceptability. Is there any question in this regard? Please make yourself 100% crystal clear because I expect a question. I expect a question in this. So is there any question? Is it something that you would want to ask me right now? Please ask. You can open your mics. You can use your areas. If you are evaluating an investment project other than the acquisition or merger of the company, would it? Yes. If you are evaluating any other project, you will be writing this under the heading of acceptability. Yes. Yes, you will be writing under the heading of acceptability. Any further question, anything that you would want to ask, any question, I would like to entertain your question in this regard. See, your questions are very important because these are the areas that basically will be tested. An expansion of your own company will, yes, if I'm expanding my company, it will go in the feasibility option. Do I have those internal resources? Do I have those debts? Do I have those equities in order to? Do we have to consider the Porter 5 force model for September return? Yes, why not? Yes, we will be considering Porter 5 force model. I will be including, I'll be showing you at the end of the workshop one of my topic of the days. I will be writing my topic of the day and I'll also be making a video on my topic of the day. So kindly explain that how Porter would be considered in SFA model. This model link with sort and pose. Yes, you will be linking in sort. Basically, he's asking that can we, if in the scenario we are being given with the financial information, other than the financial information, the Porter 5 force model factors are also given. So we will be applying those Porter 5 force model. If yes, then we will be applying. But if the question is specifically only of the SFA framework, we will only be applying the SFA framework. Is it crystal clear to everyone? So when the deletion will take effect, so when the deletion will take effect on 2021? Obviously, deletion area will be affected. Deletion areas will be affected. Let me tell you what are the deletion areas. But up to my knowledge, the Potter 5 force model is not the part of deletion area. But let me just give you a quick overview of the deletion areas as well. No, Potter 5 force is not being deleted. Who told you that Potter 5 force is deleted? Potter 5 force is not yet being deleted. If expansion in internal, then it will come under feasibility. Yes, yes, Abdul Hanan. Aruna, Potter 5 force is not deleted for this attempt at least. Obviously, there are the areas that are deleted is only from the risk and some areas from the professional code of ethics. No more, no less. They have deleted the public interest areas and so on and so forth. So is it clear to everyone? Is it clear to every one of you? Please, can anyone, can two or three people out of you identify me? Okay, perfect. Okay, so let's have prayer breaks for, yes, Shahrukh. You can ask your question, Shahrukh.
Okay, sir. My question is that if we are given in the scenario that the company
Yes,
is
yes, but you
expanding,
need to ask question in English, right? You can turn on your
yes,
mic.
sir. Okay, sir. I was asking the question that if in the scenario we are given that the company is acquiring another company, so we have to apply the whole model, right? SFA. So we would also write in the
Yes, Shahrukh.
feasibility. Sir, is my voice clear? Hello. Hello.
Shahrukh, are you asking? Okay. No, I cannot hear his question. I cannot hear his question. I don't know why. Okay, so okay, Shahrukh. Okay, okay, perfect. Okay, so maybe I have some issues on my side. Okay, so let's have a prayer break for 15 minutes, and I will be resuming my class by 7:30 according to my local time. Right? Don't go anywhere. We will be covering the other areas, and we will be going through the other areas. If internal extension, so what will come under the acceptability? The acceptability areas will include the political and other factors that will impact the internal extensions, right? So okay, so let's have prayer break and Okay, guys, so let's resume. Are you all back? G, are you all back? Okay. Okay, so let's resume now. Uh, Great. Okay, so let's move forward. We have seen the models. We have seen some of the most important tips of today's class, and now we need to go through. Now we need to go through our handout. I will share these slides with you all, and I will also share this handout with you once we are done with this handout. Okay, so in today's class, we'll be going through the professional ethics, public interest, and corporate code of ethics. That is a question which is of P1, December 2013, question number 4C. SBL, September 2018, we will be doing this question. That is Cofold Company, question number 3A. Then we have the board of directors, which says that how do you split the roles between the non-executive directors? What are the four different types of committees? You know it very well that we have got two types of board of directors, and under these two types, we have got different forms and different four different types of committees. That is the risk committee, remuneration committee, audit committee, and nomination committee. So it says that the roles of the board of directors should be split it between the NEDs, chairman, CFO, CEOs, and the other non-executive directors. We'll be going through the specimen paper number one, question number 1B, that is DCS company. We have got family-owned business versus listed companies. Then we have internal control and the weaknesses. That we'll be doing the SBL question of September 2018. That is of Cofold company. Question number 3B. What professional skills we'll be going through today is the evaluation, communication. There are other professional skills as well in the question. I'll let you know. We'll be going through some of the formats. Now, the most important area, what is the professional code of ethics? Now, the most favorite thing of my lecture is the code of ethics. Let me just quickly cover this. Uh, Basically, whenever I say about code of ethics, you need to remember these two things. Whenever I say about professional code of ethics, you need to remember these two things. That is IP square OC versus SAF, S square AIF. Now, what is this IPOC and what is this SAF? I will be informing you in the next minute. Let's see. Now, the professional code of ethics basically says that there are certain ethical codes, there are certain ethical values that you need to keep in your mind while you are going through the professionalism. When you are going through the professionalism, when you're working, when you are working as a professional, you need to go through these different areas. And what are the areas? See, there is a professional code of ethics. Now, this professional code of ethics will be having some principles. These principles can be remembered by remembering a word, an acronym by the name of IPOC, IP square O and C. That is IPOC, IP square O and C. Now, IPOC stands for integrity, which is I. Now, what do you mean by integrity, obviously? Integrity means honest and straightforward dealing. This is integrity. Then we have the next thing, that is P. P stands for professional. Behavior. P, which means an auditor should behave professionally and be unbiased in all his dealings. In all his dealings. Then it says the professional competence. Right? The second P stands for professional competence. Only those tasks for which an individual is professionally competent only those tasks for which an individual is professionally competent should be undertaken. This means that, okay, now you say I have read law during my course of study, so I can be a good lawyer as well. This is not the case. You have just read the law in order to deal with all the legal situations in between. You are not a professionally qualified lawyer, or nor you are a professionally qualified judge. You need to keep these things in your mind there and then. Then IPOC O stands for objectivity. Objectivity means there should be no conflict of interest. There should be no conflict of interest while you are performing your duties. There should be no particular conflict of interest. And you should perform your duties with utmost reality. No conflict of interest. And one should perform all his duties objectively. Right? So this is objectivity. Remember, you are doing IPOC. That is the principles of ethics. And last but not the least, confidentiality, which is C. This means all information all information that is gathered during the all information that is gathered during the course of audit should not be used for personal interest. Just a second. Should not be used for personal interest nor for third party interest. See, during the course of audit, obviously you are getting some confidential information. So you will not be using for the personal interest nor for third party interest. Do you all get this? Is everyone crystal clear about what I'm trying to explain over here? What are the principles of ethics and how do we account for these principles of ethics? Is it clear to everyone? Okay, so let's move forward. I guess it's clear to everyone. Okay, great. Now if I move forward, it says that all these principles of ethics will have some threats. Threats to ethical principles. And you will be remembering these threats by remembering an acronym of S square AIF. IPOC is threatened by SAF. IPOC is threatened by SAP. IPOC is threatened by SAP. How? Let's see. SAF means the first S is self interest threat. Self interest threat, that is S. In this, you will say you will not put your personal interest over wider stakeholder community community's interest. Number one. Number two can be the first thing, self-interest. Then we have the self-review. I hope so things are getting clear to you all. Then we have the self-review threat. Now the self-review threat is the second S, which says you will refuse to review your own work. You will refuse to review your own work. The work that has been done by you cannot undertake that simple work and review it by your own self, because you will not be justifying with that work, and you will not be taking out mistakes within the work that is being performed by your own self. Then we have the advocacy threat. Advocacy threat, which is basically A, and it says an auditor be unbiased in terms of physical appearance and and independence of mind as well. And independence of mind as well. After advocacy threat, we have intimidation. The intimidation threat says auditor should keep himself the auditor should keep himself. Yes, advocacy threat means that you will not be advocating. You will not be taking the side of the audit client. That no, this audit client is a very good client. He seems to have very good integrity. See, your existence is of an external auditor, and if you are being the external auditor, you should keep this thing in mind, that you in any way advocating the audit client will give an overview to the shareholders and the stakeholders community that you might jeopardize your independence, you might compromise on your objectivity. So you will not only be you will not be taking part of the client, or you will not be showing that you are with the client in regard with any legal matters as well as any matters that relate to the independence or the physical appearance. For example, the CEO of the company is playing golf with the external audit partner. The external audit partner is marketing the tea bag that is being produced by the company himself. For example, when I'm going for a public appearance and I'm the external audit partner, I'm saying, okay, if I want to work 24/7, I only drink tea that is being provided by Unilever, because such a tea will revitalize your energy. Why are you doing this? You are the external auditor. You are taking part of the company. You should not do any act that brings this question into the minds of the shareholders, that there is something dubious about your independence and your objectivity. Then it says the intimidation that auditor should keep himself away from circumstances that may intimidate an auditor. These are the circumstances that might intimidate the auditor. that may intimidate an auditor. For example, external pressure from outside firm, external pressure from any other company will bring external pressure to the company itself and will have a greater insight of what the company is talking about right now. So you should try to avoid such situations. And last but not the least, obviously we have got the similarity threat, which says that the external auditor should avoid circumstances that may bring familiarity threat to the external auditor. Familiarity, I hope so this color is visible to you all. Familiarity threat. Now, familiarity threat, basically, it's the last thing, that's the F. Now, familiarity threat says that over familiarity of external independent party, obviously over familiarity of external independent party will create one of the biggest threat, and that is the threat that we might compromise or we might jeopardize our objective in this regard. So it says the over familiarity of external independent third party will independent third party will let you compromise your integrity. Extremely sorry, there is some. Please read advocacy threat second line. An auditor be unbiased in terms of physical appearance and independence of mind as well. Will let you compromise your stance. Will let you compromise your stance. Now I will share something which is a cheat code in your exam. Why am I calling it as cheat code? In fact, I will share you something which basically will help you in answering the question that relates to the professional code of ethics. Now, this is something which is very awesome. Now, let's suppose, okay, we are getting your point. We know that there is something which is known as the principles, and these principles are the IPOC, IPPOC. We are very well aware of this. Now, these principles are being threatened by SEF. Now, what to do? How to protect ourselves? There are certain safeguards. Now, I am writing some of the generic safeguards that you can apply in almost every situation. I am writing some of the generic safeguards that basically you can apply in almost every single situation that you come across when I talk about the professional code of ethics, when I talk about the threat to the ethical principles, right? So these are the safeguards. Now, what are the safeguards? The first one is apply Chinese wall concept. Number one, apply Chinese wall concept. Okay, I'm showing you the last slide. I will share this slide, no issues. You can take screenshot right now. I will share these slides. Okay. So the first thing that you need to do is the application of the Chinese wall concept. Apply Chinese wall concept, number one. Number two can be, number one is apply application of Chinese wall concept. Number two can be review the work done by affected individual. Review the work that is being done by the affected individual. Another one can be conduct forensic audit. Fourth is conduct quality control review. Another generic safeguard can be politely refuse the offer, politely refuse the offer that may bring threat to your objectivity, that may bring threat to your objectivity. So when CFO is involved in dubious activity, there's a question from someone. Forensic audit, yes, I will explain this. When CFO is involved in dubious activity and the company policies are strict that what should we advise in this situation? Should we advise for training or remove him from the current post as it is already told by the company? No, obviously, if the CFO is involved in dubious activities, this means that still the activities are dubious. They are not crystal clear as if these activities are fraud or an intention to fraud. So if the activities are still dubious or we still have a questioning mind if the CFO is doing something wrong or is he doing his duties with utmost optimization position. So we will still try to train, we will still try to figure it out if the CFO is completely wrong or not. But once it is made clear that okay, the CFO has done something which is known as the fraudulent activity, our first objective will be to give chance to the CFO of the company. And once it is clear that no, um, he's not basically putting his position into a better one. So what we'll do, we'll have the last objective as to remove him from the company. Okay, what is forensic audit? Forensic audit means that, for example, the local, if I'm living in Pakistani economy, I can say that okay, there is some issue in one of the audits of biggest company, and we face some issues in regard with the professional code of ethics. So what should we do? We can ask the, or let's suppose if I'm EY Pakistan, you can ask the EY Canada, you can ask the EY Toronto, you can ask the EY Dubai to come and do the quality control review of our company, right? Yes, if the activities are crystal clear, we'll have to remove him. If the policies are very appropriate, we'll have to remove. Review the work done by the affected person. Sir, second point, can you read? Okay, done. So let's move forward. So basically, politely refuse the offer that has been given to you. And last but not the least point, the most appropriate one, no, in fact, not the last, we have got another point as well. Seek legal advice. And then obviously the last point that says that what you can do is you can refuse to perform audit. So you can lastly refuse to perform the audit and you can say, okay, now this is the way we are going through and I'm refusing to perform the audit. I won't be performing audit any further, or I won't be performing audit anymore. So basically these are the various areas, or these are the various ways in which you can control the threats to the ethical principles, and these are the cheat code. Why am I calling them as cheat code? Is because they will help you when you is in specific situation, when you are unaware as to what safeguard should you apply. You can apply these generic safeguard, and they may be applied in almost every single situation, right? In almost every single situation, but you need to apply a professional judgment when you are applying these safeguards, obviously, right? Do you all get this? Is it clear to every one of you? May I move forward? Yes, please. Okay. So we are done with the professional code of ethics. We have completed the professional code of ethics, and we know that we will be applying these safeguards, we will be applying these principles, and these are the threats to the ethical principles that, if applied appropriately, will give us an objective view in this regard. Okay, let's move forward to our handout. A professional accountant is expected to protect the interest of the following in addition to the shareholder. See, a professional accountant is not only working for his shareholders only, but a professional accountant is ought to work for other people's interests as well. For example, you should be working for your customers, you should be working for your suppliers, employees, you should take into account the government as a whole, society and community as a whole as well. Now, what are the corporate code of ethics? What are the corporate code of ethics issued by the organizations and applicable to all the employees? Obviously, issues by the organization. There are certain corporate code of ethics as well that we need to apply when we are applying the ethical principles. The first thing is we need to look at the employees of the company. You need to ensure gender equality. You can mention in your answers that the company should write, we are an equal opportunity firm, we are an equal opportunity company, no discrimination on the basis of color, caste, creed, diversity in terms of skills, diversity in terms of language, diversity in terms of heritageal values, cultural values, working conditions, appropriate and universally acceptable working conditions, health and safety concerns. You should provide your employees with all the health and with all safety related conditions, and obviously better pay, market competitive pay. We are not asking for a pay which goes beyond the market competitive. This is also professional ethics. This is also the code of ethics that is being provided by the corporate side. Then we have the customers and suppliers. What does the corporate code of ethics have to say about the customers and the suppliers of the company? You need to maintain an appropriate quality of your product. How do you ensure the safety, product safety? Personal data should be maintained with all the privacy and the data privilege being informed. See, during the course of audit, you are getting different amount of data from your company. You should not use this data for your personal benefit. You should not use this data for your third party benefit until unless obviously told by the law. Fair business practices, society and community as a whole, you should provide some job opportunities, corporate social responsibility. In last class, we have studied about that there are two types of strategies that relate to the corporate social responsibility: strategic CSR and CSR strategy. And last but not the least, environmental pollution. Now, the first question is of Lobo Company. I am just reading this question. I'm just reading this question, and I will give you 5 minutes in which you can just jot down some of the points that relate to this question, right? So this question is of P1 December 2013, and the question is question number 4C. That is Lobo Company, one of the bestest possible questions that I have came across. A technological failure occurred at Lobo Company last year. A new computer system was designed to control the logo's complicated operational facility that broke down shortly after it was installed. This meant that the company was unable to carry out the production process normally for several days. The cause of the failure was later found to have been a system specification error made by Frank Bubb, the operation director and the professional engineer. He had seriously miscalculated the capacity needed for the new system and had ordered a computer system which was unfit for the purpose. Not only had this resulted in the loss of several days of production and loss of loyalty and goodwill from customers and others, it also cost a large amount of repair and upgrade the system to be able to cope up with the actual demand placed upon it. Frank Webb acknowledged that he had overridden normal procurement procedures in purchasing the system, but he was taught by his colleague to be such a competent engineer, it was not felt necessary for anybody else in the company to discuss the purchase with the supplier. His fellow directors believed that Frank Bob would exercise the judgment needed to purchase and implement the new system. Because the system was needed urgently, there was no time to run it in pilot mode or to test it on site before it was fully installed. When he was asked about the failure, Frank Bob said that he decided to buy the system in question because an old friend had recommended it and that he saw no need to take further advice beyond that. Discuss the fundamental principles of professional ethics, which Frank Bob failed to observe, and explain how an awareness of the duty of the public interest may have prevented this. So I'm just giving you 5 minutes. What you need to do, you need to jot down 6 points, in fact, 5 points. You need to jot down 5 points in which you can identify that Frank Bob failed to observe the professional ethics. Now, Frank Bob is not an auditor. You need to mold your answer applying the professional code of ethics of an auditor onto an engineer, applying the professional code of ethics of an auditor onto an engineer who is Frank Bubb, and what are the areas where Frank Bubb failed to conduct the professional ethical principles. I'm just giving you, it's 8:12 according to my time in my economy, so I'm just giving you 10 minutes. You won't be drafting an entire set of answers. We don't have enough time to draft an entire set of answers. Just write 5 points in which you can identify that these are the 5 points where Frank Buff failed to observe the professional ethics. If he is an engineer and if all the professional ethical codes of auditor are being applied, start right now. Just 10 minutes, 5 points. Jot down 5 points. No more, no less. Yes, are you all done? Good. So I guess someone just wrote the answers, five different points. Okay. So Vaji, I've written five different points. Let me. Okay, so I can provide you my points that I feel should be included in this question. The first point is that Frank Webb did not exercise professional judgment by taking advice of other senior professionals. Number one. Number two can be that Frank Webb failed to observe his professional duty of calculating the actual demand of the machinery and then putting in a purchase order of the computer system. Number three is that Frank was not performing his duties with fiduciary responsibilities. That is, he was not able to perform his duties objectively, and maybe he had, because just because of his friend's advice, he bought a particular computer system, which means that he have compromised over the integrity of the company. Fourth point could be that Frank Webb purchased the machinery from the computer system from his one of his friends. Advice. This means that Frank Webb did not applied the professional skepticism and professional behavior, and he went against the normal protocols that were to be applied. And last but not the least, Frank Webb did not exercise the professional judgment and did not felt like taking into account the company's policies and procedures in this regard. Is it necessary to? No, no. In such a question, you will not be applying the entire IPOP question. Objectivity, professional competence, and due care. Professional behavior will also be taken part. You can write two answers of objectivity as well. And yes, he did not apply. He did not test the machinery on a pilot mode. He did not test the machinery on the pilot mode. That is also one of the scenario of Frank Bubb's question, right? So I guess you must have all written the answers in the same way, right? Is it true? Was anyone not able to find out the right answer of this? Yes, Sarang, objectivity, integrity, professional behavior. Yes, you are perfectly fine with it. Is there anyone who was not able to write his answers and did not had any idea how to write the answers or how to answer this question? Is there anyone? Okay, so I don't think so. Everyone was able to write the answers. Now the fact is that we have already gone through the professional code of ethics. I write 2 points for professional behaviors, two for objective. Yes, perfectly fine, Bushra. Perfectly fine. Uh, no, Vaji, your answer is perfect. I've seen your answer. Your answer is perfect. You can write 2 points on objectivity. You can even write 3 points on objectivity. That is perfectly fine. No issues in that. No issues until unless your points are valid. Until unless see, such a question is not a generic question. It's a specific scenario-based question. It's a specific scenario-based question, so you can write any of them within the answer that is being stated. Now, there are two different types of boards that we are generally seeing in our corporate structures or in our corporate life. So these are the two different types of boards that we generally see. Now, what are the boards? Let me just give you a quick overview what I'm talking about right now. Now I'm moving towards the next part of my topic, next part of my chapter, that is the corporate governance part. Let's just quickly go through this part and let me tell you what this part has to tell us all about. Okay, so now we have the board of directors. Now, these board of directors will have a chairman, or we can call him as chairperson. He's not the cheerleader, right? Chairperson or chairman. Now, this chairman is the head of the entire board. Entire board is dependent upon this person. Now, over here it says that we have got three different types of things, three different types of individuals. The first thing is the first type of board that we have is the executive directors. Now, executive directors are the individuals who remain within the company for 365 days. They are looking into the operations of the company. They are going through on each and every strategies of the company. They are the part of the company. They are dependent upon the company's payroll. Then we have the non-executive directors. Now, the non-executive directors are basically those individuals that provide an objective and an unbiased viewpoint on the strategies that are being taken into account or that are being considered by the executive directors of the company. They are not the part of the company, they are outsider people. They just keep on focusing on what strategy should be adopted within the companies or not. And last but not the least, both these executive and non-executive directors makes the board committees. They make the board committees. Now, there are four different types of board committees that we have in our syllabus. The first one is a risk committee. The second one is audit committee. The third one is the remuneration. And the fourth one is nomination. Now, one thing that majority of students misses over here is that they do not know why do we have the non-executive directors. They do not know that why do we have these non-executive directors. They do not know why do we have these executive directors. They just know one thing, and that is that there are executive and non-executive directors. See, the company that is available will have an agency problem. You all know it very well. The company will be having an agency problem. And according to that agency problem, the company will have two scenarios in which the shareholders wants an objective view. The first one is the strategy. And the second one is that the strategy that is being adopted is properly reported or not in regard with financial statement. So if I talk about these strategies or if I talk about the financial statement, I need to keep all these things in my mind. Now, if I talk about the strategy, I know one thing that the strategy makers are the executive directors. But how to know? Okay, the strategy maker are the executive director. The executive director said that okay, we are going for strategy A, and we make 100,000 profit by adopting strategy A in a financial year of 2020. Okay, so this 100,000 profit will be validated by we have got the internal auditors, we have got the internal auditors and the external auditors who are verifying that okay, the profitability that is being reported is accurate and fine. But how to assess that the executive director who chose that we should be going for strategy A was a good decision, rather strategy B would have given us a lesser amount of profitability. So the shareholders also want to have an, let's suppose the shareholder says where our competence was to have a profitability of around 150 million, but the executive director chose a strategy which just gave us a profitability of 100 million. So how to assess, how to give an objective, and how to give an independent viewpoint as to what strategies you are adopting, and the strategies that you are adopting is being adopted with utmost advantageous and with an independent viewpoint. So for this purpose, we hire the non-executive director. For this purpose, we are hiring the non-executive directors. Do you all get this? So it says that the non-executive directors are for the purpose of strategy decisions. The non-executive directors are for the purpose of strategy decisions. So all the strategic related decisions are being taken when we talk about the non-executive directors. But the decision, once the decision is being taken, then how much amount of profitability, how much amount of earning is being done is taken into account in terms of financial statement, and the financial statement that is being prepared by the company, is it prepared in accordance with the IFRS and the other relevant laws and regulations. This will go under the heading of external auditor, and the external auditor will provide an objective viewpoint in this regard as well. Is it clear? Is it something which is crystal clear to every one of you? Should I move forward? Yes, please. I'll try to make this recording available as well, so that if there is something which is missed by any one of you, any participant who is registered and he's missing something, so he will have a better objective now. Okay, so let's move forward. Let's see this handout quickly. I have already explained what who is the head of the company, who is the head of the entire board. So it says the chairman and the CEO of the company, roles and responsibility of chairman. The main roles and the main responsibility of the board is the running of the board. Yes, salaries of the non-executive directors are included in the agency cost. Very true. What? Just a minute, please. Okay, so it says it says that the main role of the chairman is the running of the entire set of board. It's a link between the shareholders of the company and the stakeholders of the company. Communication with the shareholders, for example, in the annual report, protect shareholders' interest and increase the long-term shareholders' wealth, ensures smooth running of the board, such as appropriate size, skill, knowledge, experience, independence of the directors, balance between executive and non-executive directors. You need to maintain a balance between the executive and non-executive directors, appropriate skills, size, knowledge, experience, etc. Effective functioning of the board committee, all the four committees of the board, that is audit committee, remuneration committee, risk committee, and nomination committee, should be working effectively. Regular meetings of the board should be held, should be done on regular intervals and regular basis. Directors' nomination, performance, and remuneration should be done in this regard. Then we have the roles and responsibilities of CEO. CEO, chairman is the head of the board. CEO is the head of the executive directors. So if I say the head of the board, I will spontaneously reply, okay, the head of the board is the chairman. But if I say the head of the executive directors, I will say the head of the executive director is the CEO of the company. So the main purpose of the CEO of the company is to run the entire set of board. The CEO is looking after the board. The CEO is going through the board objectives. The purpose is to make strategies for the board, number one. Number two is to implement decisions of the board. Whatever the decisions are, he will be implementing those decisions. He'll be looking at the day-to-day running of the business and all the departments of the business. He'll be managing all the resources effectively and efficiently. The risk management and internal control system will be dealt by the CEO of the company. Timely and accurate reporting will be conducted. Legal and regulatory compliances. Interact with external parties such as government, key customers, stock, suppliers, etc. right? Do you get this? Okay, so let's move forward. Now, what does it say is, you know what CEO is, you know what the roles and responsibility of CEO and CFO of the company is, sorry, chairman of the company is. Now, the why do we split the roles between the CEO and the chairman of the company? Why is it so that we are splitting the roles between the chairman and the CEO of the company? It says the chairman runs the board, the CEO runs the company. The running of the board should be separate from running of the company. Hence, the role of the chairman and the roles of the CEO will not be performed by one single person, as this concentrate excessive power in the hands of one person. The chairman should be independent, just like NADs. Yes. Advantages of splitting the role. Now, what are the advantages of splitting the role? If I have a chairman to be a separate person, and if I have the CEO to be a separate person, this means that both of them are having different roles and responsibility. Segregation of duties leading to improved governance. Obviously, two minds are allocated in order to provide maximum benefit to the shareholders and the stakeholders of the company. Chairman is able to challenge the CEO of the company. Chairman is challenging the CEO of the company. Chairman is having some questions to the CEO of the company. Other directors, employees can communicate with the chairman if they have concern relating to the CEOs. The other directors can communicate to the chairman. For example, if they feel that okay, CEO is not performing his duties appropriately, CEO is involved in some fraudulent activity, then you can directly communicate to the chairman of the company, and a whistleblowing arrangement will have a real objective to be done. Higher shareholder confidence as chairman are normally the NEDs of the company. Disadvantages of splitting the role between the chairman and the CEO of the company. The biggest disadvantage is the amount of cost that you'll have to bear. Chairman may not have in-depth knowledge of the business as he's the non-executive director, so he might not be having that in-depth knowledge in chances of agreement. And obviously, the cost is also one of the biggest disadvantages. Non-executive directors are part-time directors that are outsiders and who are independent. They are not the employee of the company. They get a fee for being the non-executive directors and are not entitled to any bonus. So they will not be getting any bonus. Reason being, why aren't they getting the bonus amount is because they are being told that you are the non-executive directors of the company and you need to maintain the integrity of being a non-executive director. And if they want to maintain the integrity, then they do not need to have any amount of bonuses, any amount of share options from the company. The role of non-executive director, number one, is to make strategies, discuss strategy, bring external experience, leadership, etc. They obviously their performances scrutinize the performance of the executive director. The biggest role of non-executive director will be to scrutinize the performance of the executive director. As I've told you, the strategy making is being done by the executive director, and these strategies are being allocated and these strategies are being evaluated by the non-executive directors. Risk ensuring effective internal control, risk management system are in place, and financial reporting is accurate and reliable. Obviously, a non-executive director will be included in different types of committees. For example, nomination committee, who will be the next executive director, who is the most suitable person for being the executive director, what remuneration should we offer to the executive directors, what are the succession planning of the executive directors and senior executive, providing additional comfort to the shareholders. Then we have the advantages of non-executive directors. They bring independence, add confidence to the shareholders of the company, have external experience and wider perspective, scrutinize and challenges performance of CEO and the executive directors of the company, and employees can discuss confidential and sensitive matters with the non-executive director. For example, there is something dubious going on, um, there is some different type of fraudulent activity going on. There is a teaming and lading being done by the executive directors of the company, and the employees would want to notify this teaming and leading to the non-executive directors of the company, so they can easily do this. Whistleblowing arrangement will have a greater objective in order to identify what are the disadvantages of the advantages of having a non-executive directors, and obviously company can comply with the regulatory and listing requirement. But obviously, when we have some advantages, there are certain disadvantages as well. They may lack independence. They are smaller remuneration as compared to executive director. They are not being given any share options. They are not being given with any bonus options. So they may have no incentive to work with the utmost reliability and with the utmost advantageous situation. May not have sufficient time to uh, put into their businesses. They feel that this is not their work, and this is just they just are kept for scrutinizing purposes and nothing else. Okay, so now it says independence of non-executive director. How do we ensure that the non-executive directors are independent? They are not an employee. Now this is important. This is important. You need to learn this. You need to learn all these 5 6 points. Why? There might be a situation in which you see that the non-executive directors of the company are being hired for more than 5 years. So if you are not aware about this, you need to learn them. You need to rote learn them. Trust me, trust over my words. Believe on me, you need to rote learn these points. Not an employee of the company. A non-executive director should not be an employee of the company for the last 5 years. Number one. No business or financial relationship with the company for the last 3 years. There should be no business relationship. There should be no financial relationship for the last 3 years. Not a non-executive director in the same company for more than 9 years. Not having close family ties with the or friendship with the executive directors of the company. No family member working in the company for the senior position. You can write in front of it. Rather than writing senior position, you can write influencing the subject matter of the company, and no share in profit or having share options of the company. How much number of NADs do we have? Should we have? We should have ample amount of NADs depending upon the size of the company, depending upon the nature of the business. If a small company feels that there should be only 2 executive and 2 non-executive directors, that is good for them. If a company which is large enough and they feel that they need at least 5 executive and 5 non-executive directors, equally good. It is up to the company's discretion as to how much amount of executive and how much amount of non-executive director do they need to have. But the only thing that they need to ensure is that there is a balance between the board. There is a balance between the board, that is, they are all equal in numbers. Then we have the board committees. We have got four different types of board committees: risk committee, remuneration committee, nomination committee, and audit committee. Nomination committee means they are nominating, they are not selecting, they are just nominating the executive directors, and they are presenting the CVs of executive directors in front of the shareholders, and then shareholders will be selecting these individuals. So nomination committee will include majority of the entities. They decide the size of the board. Number one, they ensure sufficient knowledge, skills and experiences being provided to the board. Balance between the executive directors and non-executive directors. Appointment of new non-executive new directors, as well as training and succession planning. Then we have the remuneration committee. Remuneration committee is basically deciding the remuneration policy for the executive directors for the forthcoming years. Decide the remuneration policy, and this remuneration policy will not be only including fixed remuneration, rather link portion of the remuneration with individual performance, medium to long-term target. Basically, what I try to say over here is that you need to link the proportion with the performance related pay of the company. Then we have the audit committees. Audit committees, 100% NADs. All members have to be NAD with at least one members having no. All members have to be the in risk committee, but at least one member in audit committee should have finance and audit related experience. So you need to review the financial statement and internal controls, liaison between the external auditors and the internal auditors, supervision of the internal. So if I'm included in the internal audit department, I am working in internal audit department, my link is directly to the audit committees. I directly link with the audit committee. And obviously, drafting a whistleblowing arrangement in this regard will also have a clearer objective of my viewpoint. And then we have the risk committee, which says that there are majority of entities implement risk management process, that is entities risk management framework. You must have studied in your regular classes about COSO model, about entities risk management framework model, about para model, about risk heat maps. Every single thing before accepting a strategy should be adopted. Because why do we have majority entities? Because there should be at least one or two individuals who know what are the risks within the company, and there should be at least one or two individuals who are the executive directors and they are within the company so that they can identify the key risky areas. Remember that there are 5 different internal control objectives that is being attained by the risk committee. That is control environment. I will easily be dictating you control environment, entities, risk assessment procedures, information system relating to financial reporting, risk control related activities, and monitoring of control. So risk committee includes majority of entities, implement a risk management process, entities risk management framework. Everything will be quickly revising in your mind. If you have read this, if you have read the entire handout, if you have gone through this in your regular classes, you will be in an easier position to revise all these areas. Embedded risk in an organization culture. Individuals should embed a risk within an organization culture. Every single individual should be embedded. Okay, now this is the risk that you need to go through. When I talk about the organization culture, when I talk about the organizational objective, identify key risks and recommend controls. Obviously, there might be some key risks that are being identified, and there might be some recommended controls in this regard as well. Ensure that the internal controls are working effectively and objectively. 5 factors of internal control. I am repeating once again: entities control environment, entities risk management process, control activities, monitoring of control, and information system relating to financial reporting. So, what are the advantages and importance of having board committees? Obviously, their tasks have been specialized. Risk committee will have a different task, audit committee will have a different task, nomination committee will go for a different thing, and obviously, remuneration committee will have different varied objectives. More focus and specialized, more time can be spent by committee, as full board will have limited time available. Higher involvement by entities, for example, in the audit and remuneration committees, board can focus more on the strategic and business matters rather than on day-to-day operational issues, and increase in shareholders' confidence. Shareholder feel, okay, thank you so much for involving these committees. Now we feel more confident in regard with the strategic objective as well as the financial reporting if I talk about the external auditors. Remuneration and reward of the directors. General principle: how do we reward directors? Remuneration should be sufficient to attract, retain, and motivate competent directors. If you want to attract competent directors, if you want to motivate competent directors, you need to. Yes. Is it good now? Okay. If you want to attract competent directors, if you want to motivate competent directors, if you want to feel, okay, now the competent directors are available for us, then you have to give market competitive pays to them. You should have a fixed payment as well as a variable, that is performance based incentives. That is, I normally call this as performance related pays. Short term incentives, you should provide them with bonuses, you should provide them with share options. Director cannot approve his own remuneration. This should be done by the directors remuneration committee. That is majority to be done by the non-executive directors. Full transparency to the shareholders, for example, disclosure in the annual financial statement. Each and everything should be disclosed in the annual financial statement. What are the retention options for the directors? You should provide them with attractive packages. You should provide them with loyalty bonuses. For example, if they stay for 5 years within the company, they will get XXX amount of bonus. Long-term performance-related pays, share options, bonus options, everything should be provided to them. Diversity. What do you mean by diversity in the board? Diversity means having varied objective, variety of different people within the board, normally based on the demographic factors that are prevailing within the society. Yes, I will provide namaz break. Diversity is based on age, gender, education, professional background, experience, and ethnicity, etc. Advantages of diversity: wider pool of talent. There are numerous amount of people included because of diverse labor force. Broader range of ideas and knowledge is being done. More representative of the community and society as a whole. Enhance reputation. Obviously, we will be enhancing our reputation. We will be enhancing the outlook of the organization. Compliance with the listing regulatory requirements, etc. Issues with diversity. Diversity may lead to subgrouping within the board. Obviously, the individuals of same cultural backgrounds, individual. Yes, I will give namaz break. Same cultural background, individuals of same. Let's suppose gender, individual of same ethnicity, they might be grouping together to make a diverse labor force to fall into subgrouping. Board may ignore the viewpoint of diversified members. What is an insider trading? Insider trading means when you are buying. I'm just revising all things. I'm not getting into the concepts. We know already earlier. It's just a quick revision, and then we'll be going towards the question. Insider trading or dealing means buying or selling of company shares by its own directors or senior executive based on the information which is not publicly available yet. Why is insider trading not allowed by the company? Directors have to act in the prime. Insider trading means because I am the director of the company, I know insider information. What I decided to do is I decided to send this information to my uncle, to my father, so that he can buy a share, because I know that after he buys shares and after the results of the financial statement is being announced, I can easily make an excessive amount of profit. So this is not allowed, this is illegal, and you may also face some fine and imprisonment in this regard. Directors have to act in the primary interest of the shareholders and not the personal gain. Directors have to maximize their long-term wealth of the organization. If insider trading is allowed, then it is likely that the director would be tempted to take short-term decisions and to make some personal gains in this regard. Insider trading can damage the reputation and integrity of the capital market of the company. Sir, what is the difference between a family owned business and a public listed company? Family owned business is owned by the family, mostly private limited, lesser regulations and corporate governance requirement, freedom of taking decision making, none or few entities with weak positions, no board committees, less focus on internal audit and risk management. This is very self-explanatory point. I don't need to explain them in a lot of detail. Public listed companies are owned by individual or institutional investors. These are the listed companies. You can raise finance by issuing shares. Stringent regulations on the corporate governance requirement. Certain decisions are based on majority shareholders on voting. Obviously, are voting on the basis of voting rights. Significant entities will have stronger position. Formal board committees are being made. There are 4 formal board committees that are being made, and high focus on internal audit and risk management. Extra internal controls in a listed company. Chairman and CEO roles are splitted. Sufficient amount of non-executive directors. 4 different types of board committees. Internal audit arrangement are being done, and whistleblowing arrangement is being taken into account. Now we have got examination question that is on governance structure and weakness. DCS question number 1, question number 1B. Now, internal control systems Let me just quickly go through the internal control system, then we can have a namaz break, and then we can go for one of the questions of internal controls. An internal control comprises of the whole network of system established in an organization to provide a reasonable assurance. Remember, not absolute assurance that the organizational objective can be achieved and the assets will be safeguarded. Purpose: what are the purpose of internal control, importance of internal controls, and advantages of internal controls? Achievement of organization's objective, orderly and efficient conduct of the business, assurance to board to discharge of their corporate governance responsibility, mitigate risk that are being faced by the organization, obviously safeguarding of the assets of the company, completeness and accuracy of accounting records, accurate and timely financial reporting, both external and internal, prevention of fraud and error, compliance with regulatory laws and standards, and provide reliable information to the board to enable them to go for decision making capabilities. Now, this is one of the most important tip of your exam. Whenever the question says that you need to provide internal control weakness and provide a recommendation, you will use a tabular format in your answer. You will use a tabular format in your answer. When they say to provide weakness, and when they say that you are going to provide the recommendation, you will use a tabular format answer, and you will assume that you are getting 3 marks for one single point. Or if the question says that you have to identify weakness, impact, and recommendation, you will use a tabular format answer, and you will assume that you are getting 4 marks for one valid point. You will assume that you are getting 4 marks for one valid point. Is it clear to every one of you? Is there any question in this? Yes, please. Is it clear to everyone? Yes, Shahrukh. Should I repeat this? If you are being told to provide internal control weakness and recommendation, if you are being told to provide internal control weakness and recommendation, you will be using tabular format answer. And one weakness and one recommendation that you are providing, one weakness and one recommendation that you are providing, you will be getting 3 marks. So is there any question? Okay, okay. And if you are having weakness, impact, and recommendation, you will be getting 4 marks for one valid point. When we identify weakness, so no need to explain its impact unless, yes, obviously. If the examiner is not asking you to provide the impact, you will not be giving by your own self. You will read the question very thoroughly, and you will read the word and in between. If the examiner says identify the control weaknesses and provide recommendation, this means only 2 columns. If the examiner says identify the weaknesses, comma, what are the impact of these weaknesses on the company, and provide recommendation, 3 columns. Now, the examination question number 3 is ethical and reputational concerns plus internal control weakness. Fold company. Now, this is the question that we are going to go through in today's class. We will be looking at this question in today's class. No, we will only be identifying the weakness, its impact, and obviously its recommendation. In today's class, we'll be going through the fold company. That is question number 3A and 3B. And we'll be looking at what are the ethical and reputational controls, concerns, and internal control weaknesses. Okay, so we are having a namaz, a prayer break for 15 minutes. We are having namaz prayer break for 15 minutes. We are short of time, so I can only give 15 minutes namaz break. You can have your prayers and then come back, and then you will be going through the Cofold company question, right? Quickly go and quickly come back. I'll resume within 15 minutes. Okay, so let's resume. Let us just quickly resume. So, what we were talking about is what we were talking about is are we all back? Yes, please. Are we all back? Okay, so let me show you the question and then I will show you the answer of the question. Let me just quickly. Okay, so we are about to do the Cofold company question. That is question number 3A and 3B. The question is about to be shown on your computer screens. And the question is, just a minute. The question is opening right now. Okay, so this is the question in front of you. Right? Now what you'll do, I have extracted the relevant areas of this question so that you can have a better insight and we do not waste much time in this. The question is with the name of Cofold company, and the question says, okay, so I will be reading the entire set of question and we will be going through the question part 3A and 3B. Cofold Construction is a listed construction company. Its head office is in the capital city of Lambedasa of the country of Omega Land. Omega Land has two neighboring countries, that is Elfia and Beetle. The countryside in both Elfia and Omega Land is generally flat. Okay. In Beetle, there is large range of mountain, the Izindari mountain. So now I will explain what are the areas that I need to highlight. I will read out all the structure of the question and I won't be highlighting each and everything. Rather, I will only be highlighting one of the main areas that should be highlighted when I'm reading out this question. So Cofold company is a large listed construction company. So first thing is, what is the model of the company? The model of the company is that it's a large listed company. Its head office is in the capital city, that is Lambedasa of the country of Omega Land. Omega Land has two neighboring countries, Elfia and Beetle. The countryside of both Omega Land and Elfia are generally flat. So this means that, and the reason why he is giving us this information obviously is because he wants us to connect this information in some way or the other with the Cofold construction. In Beetle, there is large range of mountains. So although we are a construction company, so we might be facing difficulties when it comes to construction in Beetle where we are currently operating, because there is a large range of mountains over there which separate its eastern region from the rest of the country. All three countries use the same currency, that is the dollars. Now, CC core business, that is Cofold Construction Company core business, is to provide support services such as upgrade of electricity network, road renewals. Just a second, please. Extremely sorry, guys. एक थोड़ी सी emergency हो गई है. Extremely sorry. Um, can you all hear me? Uh, Guys, I guess I will have to call it an end today. I will take some extra time tomorrow, and we can do it tomorrow. Basically, there is some emergency due to which I won't be able to take class today. I won't be able to continue class anymore today. Tomorrow I will take some extra time and I will first complete this handout, and then I'll be starting with my third day. So I hope so. There is no issue in it. Tomorrow we will start at 6:30 and we'll take it till 11:30, 11 or 12 o'clock. Is it good to go with everyone? Actually, there's some personal problem that I have right now. So okay, so what I can do is I am sharing you this question. Uh, Thank you. I'm sharing you this question, and what you need to do, you need to solve this question by your own self. And tomorrow, first, I will start with this question, and then I'm going to go with the next part of the question, right? So, first, I will start with this one, and then I'm going to go with the next day part. So, extremely sorry once again. Let's keep our class in here today, and we will be going through our class in tomorrow's 6:30 onwards will be our class tomorrow. So we can go for that. I'm sharing this question right now.